Welcome to Oops, I'm Evolving. I'm Morgan, and this is the podcast where we take those big, mind-blowing spiritual concepts and break them down into the real life shit you can actually use. Because let's be honest, real growth doesn't happen in the highlight reel. It happens in the shadows, in the messy, uncomfortable WTF moments. So let's talk about it, air it all out, and level up.
Hey babe, this is just a quick one, but I needed to hop on and speak to you about something that one of you wrote in about because this is so normal and it's exactly the kind of thing that we talked about in the boundaries episode, but we're going to go even deeper here. So I had somebody reach out and they were saying, okay, I finally listened to my gut. I finally felt like I had a clear answer about something and I just listened to it, but I felt so insanely guilty afterwards. How do I work through this? How can I stop feeling guilty by just following my gut? So her gut told her to say no to an invitation and she listened, she honored it, but then boom, like all of this guilt took over. And it kind of left her, she didn't say this, but the way she was describing this kind of left her like, oh my God, am I a shitty person? Like, I didn't really have a real reason as to why I said no. My gut was just telling me no. I didn't have a logical reason. I mean, she sort of did, but not really. And first of all, can we just pause and say, yay for you for listening to your gut? It's so hard. It's so hard, but you're building that self-trust. You're exploring that part of you. And like, I know that it doesn't feel good in the moment, but one day it'll feel good. This is just a muscle that you are needing to flex right now. Just like when we first start working out, it doesn't feel good, but one day all of a sudden it does. Okay. So you're putting in the work right now. Yay, you keep doing it. But the other thing I want to say is that this happens all of the time. This feeling of guilt, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It actually means that you're doing it right because what's happening is you're building a boundary. This is what building a boundary actually looks like in real time. It's not polished. It's not always peaceful. It's not always this hell yes. Sometimes it feels like your stomach is in knots, and sometimes your mind is screaming, but what if I hurt their feelings? What if this seems selfish? But here's the deal, as I want to tell you that this is part of evolving because everything that you're saying to yourself right now, it is not your body talking, it is your conditioning. You were probably raised to be the nice one, the easy one, the accommodating one, the one that doesn't rock the boat. And maybe being agreeable is how you earned love or how you kept yourself safe, whatever. Especially as women, being agreeable is like this thing that we put at the top of everything, right? Being an agreeable woman, man, we just have the world by the horns when we're an agreeable woman. Somehow we believe that. So, of course, when you say no, your nervous system freaks out a little. Of course that happens. Once again, you're doing something that you haven't ever done before. You're literally going against the script that used to keep you loved and accepted, right? Like, your playbook that is like well worn and has made you through your life, you're throwing that shit out the window and you're trying something else on. So, of course, your body is going to panic. But let's reframe this guilt a little bit because I want to call it what it really is. This guilt of upholding a boundary is proof that you're growing because having guilt doesn't mean that you did something wrong. We all know that. We feel guilty about all kinds of shit that we didn't actually do wrong. In this case, it just means that you're doing something different. You're flexing that muscle. and you're gonna feel sore before you feel strong. So here's a reframe that might help you. Saying no doesn't make you difficult, it just makes you honest. You are not selfish for honoring your capacity. You are self-aware. And you didn't let someone down. You showed up for yourself. Those are mantras you can start implementing today in your life, because as you are working with that gut and you're learning how to listen to that authority, you're going to find that you have a lot more no's that make you really uncomfortable and don't make logical sense. For me, that's the hardest, is when I have a no in my gut that doesn't make logical sense. That one is really tough for me because I can't like reason with it. I can't understand why it's a no. And then sometimes that's really hard for me to uphold that boundary. So when you're saying I didn't let somebody down, I showed up for myself, that one is really good for me when I can't logically understand why it's a no for me. So let's talk about tools to help you work through that guilt. So one thing I do is I name that conditioning out loud. I will literally say this guilt is old programming. It's not the truth. And I will remind myself that discomfort doesn't mean that something is wrong. The second thing is I will journal it out. These are questions that I ask when I'm working through something. What are stories I'm telling myself about what my no means? Because oftentimes I will have all kinds of things that my no must implicitly mean. Like, it doesn't just mean no. It doesn't just mean like, no, I don't want to go there tonight, or no, I don't want pizza tonight. It means like, oh my God, I don't want pizza. So then that must mean I'm unagreeable. And like, what if that person wants pizza? Now I'm being selfish because I didn't even ask what that person wanted, blah, 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 right? So I'll have a lot of stories about what my no means. And then I'll ask what is actually true, because I am really good at detaching my emotions. I don't know if everyone else is. Actually, I know not everyone else is, but I am excellent at that. And I'll ask myself, like, what is the truth here? Because we can see our stories. We can see our spirals, especially when we write them down on paper. So then it's pretty obvious to be like, okay, what is the actual truth? The actual truth is I don't have the energy to go to that today. The actual truth is my gut told me no. And then the third thing I'll say is, what would I say to my best friend if she was in that situation? Because oftentimes, we give other people way better advice than we give ourselves. And then the next thing I want you to do is to celebrate that rep that you just did. We're building that muscle. Fucking celebrate it. You just lifted a heavier weight than you lifted last time. Let's celebrate it. Every time you listen to your gut, you strengthen your intuition. Even if it feels weird after, even if no one claps. It's a real silent battle and silent war that nobody is looking to help you on. But that's how we build that muscle. So if this episode hits, go back and listen to the full boundaries episode. We unpack why we've lost our sense of internal truth and how to start reclaiming it. But I want you to know this. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't mess it up. You just chose yourself, and we're not apologizing for that anymore. You're doing amazing. Keep flexing that muscle. It gets easier. It gets lighter. It is so worth it.
All right, that's it for today's episode of Oops, I'm Evolving. Thanks for hanging out and diving into the messy, real shit with me. If you're loving the vibe, make sure to follow the podcast, leave a review, and find me on socials to keep the conversation going. Remember, growth isn't always pretty, but damn, it's worth it. Catch you next time.